I'm so glad you guys are here. Very timely, because this release of the video, the press has gone nuts, and so have many of the Democrats in Congress. They don't want anyone to see it. What are they afraid of?
They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of, as they have been, this is like the fourth or fifth reiteration of it, isn't it, Mike? The first one was Russian collusion.
Yeah.
Big lie. They all lied. Trump was telling the truth. Then it was quid pro quo. No quid pro quo. Biden is the one who paid the bribe, not him. The election we can talk about some other time. Hiding the hard drive, concealing the hard drive. So why wouldn't they be lying about this too? They're lying about everything. They will do anything to destroy him because he is the only one that they are sure will destroy them.
Maria, when we look at these videos, one of the things we see is that we haven't been told the truth. There's been a lot of things that have been kept from us. And I'm not saying that everything happened that day was good, because it wasn't. And I've been very clear about that. Some people did things that were just plain wrong. But there are people who are rotting in jail, and they're going to be there for years over this.
Unconstitutionally, we did not have all the tapes that Tucker Carlson did, but I produced several podcasts with Rudy, and we showed the death of Roseanne Boyland. Now, I know the medical examiner said she died of an overdose, but we have video of her being beaten by a police officer. And the two peaceful protesters, you know, they had a permit to be in front of the Capitol. A lot of people don't realize that. They had a permit, they were peaceful, and police were throwing, what are those, smoke bombs down there, and these two gentlemen unfortunately had a heart attack. And then all of us have seen the murder of Ashley Babbitt, and nobody is going to be held accountable. But the minute Pelosi hired an ABC producer, I said, this is propaganda. In the country that I love, I cannot believe what is happening. Every day we're lied to. And that's what Rudy and we try to uncover the truth. That's the name of our show.
Well, there's a lot of truth to uncover. You had Hunter Biden's laptop and the hard drive from that, but you got it several months after the FBI. They did nothing with it. I mean, is someone ever going to answer for why the FBI sat on that information?
They had it a year before. And I was presenting evidence to them during that period. And then they had the hard drive. I didn't know they had it. Like, I went to them with a woman in Ukraine who claimed to work for the company that employed the Bidens and had the offshore bank account numbers for the additional $8 or $10 million she said the Bidens got. She wanted witness protection. Now, I used to be in that business.
You were the prosecutor in New York.
Barr sent me to the U.S. attorney in Pittsburgh. My lawyer, Bob Costello, and I gave the information to them. She was under threat of death. They never contacted her.
Never contacted?
Never interviewed her. Now, she could have been lying.
Yeah.
She could have been telling the truth. I've never heard of that. Somebody tells me I've got offshore bank accounts. There is one $800,000 laundered transaction that goes directly to Joe Biden. But this one has claims to have proof of much, much more. And she did work for Burisma. She was a high-level employee. And all of that checked out. She could be lying. She could not be lying. But she didn't want anything until she proved, and she disappeared.
Rudy, one of the things that I find most disturbing about this footage that's been released, it shows that an enormous amount of footage, particularly of the so-called QAnon shaman, the guy that dressed up with the horns and, you know, kind of became the face of the day, he was led around by Capitol police officers pretty much all day. It never shows that he did anything violent. I mean, maybe he shouldn't have been there, but he got a 4-year prison sentence. Now, here's the kicker. His attorneys never were given that evidence for his defense. You were a long-time, very successful federal prosecutor. If you had withheld evidence from someone you were taking to trial, and you refused to share that evidence, which would be beneficial, refused to share it with the defense, what would have happened to that case and to you?
Well, evidence of that dimension?
Yeah.
Case would have been dismissed, and I would have been sanctioned. I would have been sanctioned by the court for having basically lied to them. I'm under an obligation as a lawyer under Brady, the Brady case, to turn over any exculpatory evidence as a prosecutor. And it's not my decision. If it can be exculpatory, because the defense lawyer should decide. If I have a doubt, I'm supposed to give it to the judge. How can you charge somebody essentially with trespass, and the guy held the door open to go into the house?
And nobody stopped
I remember when we first saw it, and we saw the police laughing while he was giving he was praying.
Yeah. He prayed for them.
He was saying, prayer, and then even in that smoky thing, he was doing some kind of a indigenous prayer. And they were laughing at him. There was nothing serious about this. And you look at it, nothing was broken, nobody was hurt. Whoever else did damage, fine. But
charge them, right?
And then they said they couldn't arrest him because they were outnumbered. Every time we see them, it's only him and them. One time there were 9 cops and him.
Yeah.
New York City Police Department would have had him in the police car in about 2 seconds. Boom, down, out.
Yeah. Will there be some accountability, though?
There has to be.
I mean, this is really frightening.
What we hear from the listeners is they don't know what's happened to our country. It's upside down. They don't trust the FBI. They don't trust the federal government.
Which is terrible.
And it's a terrible feeling. I felt it myself. I always had trust that there was more good than corruption and evil. But now it seems the opposite. But I do feel like there's going to be hope. And I feel like it will be the young people, all of a sudden with this revival of religion, because we've seen this Marxist communist elk throughout what the Democrat Party is doing, trying to take away God, trying to dismantle the family unit. And it's been working. This whole thing with indoctrinating children to be transsexual in grade school, it's just such a perversion. But we've seen revival after revival on college campuses, praising God, trying to bring back that family unit. So I have hope that we are going to be saved as a nation because we are a beacon of freedom for the rest of the world. They come here, right?
And we need to
fighting to come into this country.
And we've got to be able to maintain that. You know, Mayor, you've been under relentless attack. Only Donald Trump has probably been targeted more than you have. There have been rumors that, there's going to be an attempt to indict you. Now, you were with the president on January the 6th at the Ellipse, but he was very explicit in telling the people to peacefully protest. He never incited them to go and tear something down.
I got the tape, we did, Maria and I, about 6 o'clock at night that John Sullivan had made of the Ashley Babbitt murder.
Yeah.
And if that's not a setup, there's no such thing as a setup. I showed it to 2 homicide detectives, New York City homicide detectives. They said that's a murder first-degree investigation. There's no single justification. The key to using deadly force for a police officer is to be in fear of death.
Yeah.
She had no weapon. She was 5'2". She was surrounded by 6 cops. If she jumped over, she'd have fallen. You could have handcuffed her. A 10-year-old could have handcuffed her. There was no reason to take her life. She was not a threat to him in any way. So that becomes now a serious investigation. And what do? They won't even put out the records, nor will they identify any of the Antifa people that are there.
Yeah.
So I think this, from the very, very beginning, I saw this as a manipulation. I think in the fullness of time, history is going to tell a very different story about this.
Well, I hope it's sooner rather than later, for all of our sakes and for our country's sake. And Maria, I just want to finish out with this. I so appreciate you recognizing the spiritual revival happening on some of our college campuses. I really think the ultimate answer is going to be spiritual.
That, and then we start following it. It almost started spontaneously.
Right.
Different camps.
Asbury, Kentucky.
And also pray for those people that you mentioned that have been kept in jail.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Japanese internment, what they're doing to those people. Whether they committed a crime, I have a feeling some committed some kind of a crime like trespass. Some that committed no crime. You can see people just walking in, not knowing what's going on. But to keep him in jail,
Yeah.
that's like what you do in the gulag.
Yeah. Well, we've got to get
Pray
to
for them.
the truth of it. Now, for our audience, I know you're going to check out Uncovering the Truth, and you can find links to do that, as always, at Huckabee.tv. Also, you can find links to follow Rudy and Dr. Ryan on social media. Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you.